Welcome to Shooty SuperCoach. How's it going, guys? We're going to take a look at a few club previews today. Now, previous years I've done them club by club, but last year was just so strapped for time and was just unable to even get through all 18 clubs. So I thought this year, let's compact that down a bit. We'll just do 4 clubs today. So we'll take a look at Adelaide, Brisbane, Carlton and Collingwood. And I think over the course of 4 videos, we'll go 4 clubs, 5 clubs, 5, 4, whatever it works out to be. We'll smash it out depending how many players are relevant to each club in alphabetical order. But, yeah, what are you doing for New Year's? Because mine, relatively quiet, actually. Just going to a mate's place. He's got a pool. Hopefully the weather's decent, actually. I haven't sussed the weather, but I am 25, sunny, we'll take that. So, yeah, a bit of down ball, a bit of foosball, a bit of volleyball in the pool possibly, and, yeah, a few drinks, but nothing too crazy. So, let me know your thoughts. I'm not sure if I'll post a video prior to this or prior to New Year's or not. Not sure when I'm chucking them out or when we'll talk next. But, yeah, if not, I hope you had a good New Year's or are about to have one. Let me know if you're doing anything fun yourself. Now, this recording stuff, I'm still a bit nervy with the tech stuff. It seems to be coming through a bit better, but hopefully we're sounding all right. Before we jump into the clubs, because we've got 4 to get through, I just wanted to take you down a very funny path. A comment that I saw this morning, and Shorty's had a bit of a howler here. He's had a bit of a shocker, but as you guys know, I did the tier list the other day, ranking the defenders, enjoyed it, whatever. Then I got this comment here from Joshy Garlic, a long-time listener. We love that. And have a look at this.
Why is Amazon paying me $600 a day? Hi, I'm Carla Marie, and the coolest part is Amazon puts over 300 million customers just a click away. So age,
What have I done here? Sure enough, I go over. It's Alex Rance. I have put Alex Rance in as Dan Rioli. Jesus Christ, how embarrassing. For a bit of background, I pretty much just had to download these like 20 pics off Google Images. So I'm just smashing them out, just saving them, just going quick because I had to upload them. Now, has it stitched me up here? Because I wrote new club, obviously. I specified with Gold Coast. There he is. Rance. One of the first ones. Even in here it says Daniel Rioli. Stitch up. How embarrassing. Jesus, maybe I do need these bad boys more than I thought. Jesus Christ. That's embarrassing. I do apologise. It's poor form, but what's he doing there? Come on, I could have picked any of these, but I thought it was a nice sharp pick. In my haze of quick downloads, I think I was like, oh yeah, nice fancy new photos. Got the footy up, new club, great. It's Alex Rance. Fuck's sake. Anyway, let's get into the Adelaide Crows, shall we? There's actually a few players that I wanted to talk about at the Crows, and the first was this man, Isaac Cumming, and just the way he is shaping up at his new club. Obviously a former Giant, and maybe what we can expect. Well, these are always interesting to have a look at. Now, I did see that he maybe pinged a hamstring over December or something. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, setback, cruel injury. Wasn't anything too bad from when I read the other day. I wonder what these guys have to say. I feel like he's a really viable pick. Obviously, this is Dream Team. Yeah, similar to Bonner. Yeah. No, it's interesting. Like, obviously, you would think that he is coming to the Crows with a real intention to return to half-back, because he fell out of favour and had some injuries, but we've seen him average in the 90s twice. 94, 92, then it's dropped away a bit here. I'm not sure what happened in terms of, like, there must have been a bit of a positional change here for him, because it looks like he started the year. I was looking at these the other day. Look like he started the first 5-6 weeks as a defender, just judging by rebound 50s in his possessions. But then it really seemed to drop away, like the occasional handful, but maybe he was playing a little bit more lockdown. I can't recall who was running off halfback for the Giants. Let's just pick a random game and see if we can tell maybe. So, yeah, maybe Lockie Whitfield or Lockie Ash really came back into form. I don't know. That's just one game. But, yeah, obviously something changed. Can he get back to that form? And obviously, can he get back to being fully fit? It's not a great start given he was just injured just the other day, a few weeks ago. But I feel like at his price, it is very much worth taking a look at. From memory, he was like 280k. So we'll just let this one load up. But yeah, I'm personally don't have him in my side just yet, as you guys would have seen from a previous team picker. But internet's going well. We love that. So he's dual position from memory. No, he's just mid. 287, just the 4 games. Not much more expensive than some of our really good rookies. So it's something to think about. I feel like if we see him playing half-back, taking some kick-outs, because Jordan Dawson's moved to the midfield now. Rory Laird, we know, has moved in the midfield. So there's a few guys, like even Mitch Hinge was taking kick-outs. He moved up to a wing late in the year. So I'll be wondering to see who was taking the bulk of their kickouts. Mark Keane, like a talented player, better interceptor than I thought. But if you get a designated kicking guy, it's not going to be Mark Keane. Hinge was doing a bit. Brodie Smith doesn't do it as much. So, yeah, I could see there absolutely being a role there for him. And I think if he's fully fit, he's a strong chance to be in my side. I'm going to say that he, at this point in time, just comes down to fitness. If he's best 22, fully fit, and even having a few kick-ins, even if he's in that mix, he'll be in my team, I reckon. For the moment, he's not, but I think he's a very strong chance. Next on my list, and we'll just touch on it quickly because I think he's more of a lock, really. But Dan Curtin, sort of guy that was really, really highly touted coming into last year with, you know, high draft pick. But there's always a few of these draftees that just don't quite come on and get as much opportunity in their first year. And he was one of them. Like at the moment, we're looking at all these picks and we're like, oh, lock him in. But history suggests there'll be some of the players from the top 10 that don't even make it, let alone in their first year. But yeah, the word is that Curtin is training well. He's a big-bodied type, whether he's playing down back or through the middle. Again, this is one where it is purely best 22 based, and whether he can get, like, he's a big boy. Sometimes, because it's hard to be over absolutely everyone's best team, sometimes I like to just go into this, and this is obviously just, you know, one version of some people's best 22s, but it's just interesting to get a sense of how it's all looking, and they've got him on the interchange bench. Obviously, Sid Draper is going to be a popular one as well. Not really going to talk too many rookies in these series because, you know, we're going to be saying the same thing. I just wanted to put Curtin in because he was, you know, a second-year rookie. But most of the rookies, we're just going to say the same thing. Looks a likely type, reliable, chuck him in at the moment. But we'll find out more through pre-season. So a bit like Cumming at the price, you know, we've got Curtin, I think, around 160. Ford, you just lock him in if he's fit, if he's in that best 22. So it's a pretty simple one for him as well. We'll have a look at James Peatling now, who is one that has, definitely had a bit of attention. Another guy who's come across from the Giants, much like Cumming, and he's certainly got a bit of attention from not just footy fans, but us in the SuperCoach world too. The Crows definitely have a bit going for them. Like, I think there's a few guys that we could absolutely take a look at. This is a guy that, to me, screams out, I just need midfield opportunity. Because when he's got it, and we'll delve into some of the stats in a moment, but when he's got it, my memory serves me saying that he delivered. Like, look at this game. Sub-affected a few times, but then, boom, gets opportunity, 11 tackles, 8 clearances, 28 touches. And look, he's a tackling machine, and we saw that tackle pre-season taking Jordan Dawson down. Can win the clearances. It's got a bit of Sam Berry, but better about him, because we saw this at the Giants, where it only took like a a Canelio or a Josh Kelly injury, or I think Tom Green got injured at times as well. That's what it took, but you would imagine coming to a new club, it's a new opportunity, and I think that midfield of Adelaide needs something different. They've relied on Rory Laird, Jordan Dawson, Matt Crouch for some time. They need a bit of pizzazz, and that's why I think Rankin, who I'll talk about in a moment, is important, but so is someone like Peatling and Soligo. So you're looking at a relatively deep midfield. Be interesting to see where he fits in. I think he'll overtake Sam Berry pretty easily. How much mid-time does Rankin play will be a real watch. And I could see Matt Crouch. He just seems to be a guy that is so easily flicked aside. Thanks, Matt, you're reliable, you get your 25, but you're too slow. It just seems like he gets booted so easily, but then when you need him, he just does the job. So last year, let's try and back up some of what I was just talking about then. So Peatling, when he did get opportunities of 40% or more in the centre bounce, that was normally, it normally had something to do with Canelio missing by the looks of things. Yep, this run, it was almost directly with Canelio. There was a bit of a sharing here when Canelio was back. Finn Callahan stepped aside a little bit. But yeah, let's run the numbers. So we've got round 7 and 8. Had reasonable time in the centre bounce. It's not always a clear given, because that's just a reflection of the centre bounce. It doesn't highlight stoppages and around the ground, but it's normally a reasonable reflection of where they're at. Round 7 and 8, 83, 116. It's pretty handy. Actually, let's get the old calculator out. What was that? 83 plus 116. Round 11, round 13, 56, so not as good there. Round 1311. Then we go to his real consistent run, rounds 19 to 25. And that was his really good run. I say around 25, but obviously that's the qualifying final. Interesting game here. Only had the 12 touches, scored a 40, despite having some good numbers there. So let's just add those in. Plus 93, plus 133, plus 96, plus 100, plus 40, plus 97, plus 99. So how many weeks was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Pretty sure it was 11 games we just added up. So look at that. When he is given 40% plus centre bounce time, we're talking an average of 93. Now, of course, I'm not expecting him to average 93, but he could. You would not think he could average that, but it's possible because he's done it. Small sample size. Hey, maybe if he gets continuity, maybe he just keeps rolling. Maybe he just gets into form like he did here. A block of games and 5 out of 6 of them were fantastic or whatever it was. Only one bad game in there. So can tackle, can find a bit of the footy, and certainly can win a clearance. And he is 24. He's coming for opportunity. It was mid-season. What did I want to look up? His price. I think he was around 320. 350. So it's in that real awkward range where it's going to come down to, do you pick... you'll probably be able to pick a few of them, but it comes down to you've got quite a few options in here, whether it is Peatling or whether you do go, some people have talked about Luke Parker, Sanders. There's a few in that mould, give or take that kind of price range. So I sort of feel like, again, it's hard to say, but he is worth having on the radar at the moment. We need to see a lot of pre-season. We need to see where he does fit into that lineup, but I feel like he's every chance. He'll be a big watch for us through the pre-season and where he does get opportunity, because the kid can play. again, I'll probably put in that category of if he gets the role and if he's lining up alongside Dawson or Laird in that midfield, even 2 or 3 times out of every 4 centre bounces, I'm going to take that. I'm definitely going to take that. Isaac Rankin was the other one I wanted to talk about. And for me, he is probably a guy that I think we can trust. I feel like he is going to have a really good season. We saw injury tear him down a bit. It's probably the only thing that scares me off a little bit because he's never really put together a full season. Like, he's been close, but that's kind of his lot. Like, it'd almost be better if we saw 22, 21, 22, 4. You know, everyone gets injured, but this says to me he always picks up a bit of a niggle, which worries me a touch. But we saw him have his career best year last year, even if it wasn't a full year. When he was up and running, like that game against, was it Collingwood? Where's that game? The one where he got injured, yeah. That game where he had 30 touches, kicked a goal. This stint around here was career best stuff and just top 5 player in the comp sort of stuff. He was kicking goals, he was breaking away from stoppages, and again, we can use these numbers to get a bit of an insight. He's more of a guy that is that impact at the centre bounce, but he was actually starting to stay around the footy more often, which did lead to him finding a bit more of the footy, and he is creative. So we saw those opportunities really through that middle part of the year when they did need a bit more around the footy, and he provided. So, as you guys would know, he's currently in my team. He is a guy that I could easily drop down to a rookie, upgrade Conway to Conning, or upgrade a rookie to Peatling, or have a bit of extra cash to get Cumming and Peatling, or whatever way you want to cut it. So, I'm not saying he's locked and loaded, but I think he'll have a really good year. Just worries me a bit on the body. So that is the Crows. Let me know if you feel like I missed anyone, or if you want me to talk about anyone, please let me know a comment or a few of your thoughts on those guys. Now, Brisbane, we're going to have a look at the Ashcrofts, of course. Now, Levi Ashcroft, again, not going to spend much time. The kid is an absolute gun. We've even seen him dominate at VFL level. So just lock him in. I mean, look at that. He played a couple of games. He played at VFL level and just tore it apart as well. So lock him into your team. We don't have to spend too much time on him. Will Ashcroft is the interesting one for me. Where's he going to fit in, and how much scope does he have? Because it's just the price for me. He is in that mould of Nick Dacos, Harry Sheasel, the chosen ones of their draft, the pin-up boy, the chosen one that's just a superstar on the rise. And he was showing that. He has shown that. Kid won the Norm Smith medal. And what we did see was an ability to find plenty of the footy with not really being in the centre bounce a great deal. A feature of his game that I think we'll come to know really well is the 1-2 handball. He loves to feed it up and just keep working. He turns one disposal into 2 so easily, so many times. His kicking ability is ridiculous. Like, he's not going to lace out a goal from 60 Trent McKenzie style, but he'll just cut off these little kicks inside, little dinky ones, little kicks to touch. It's beautiful to watch. And even just this game here against the Bombers, 15 marks just said to me how well he finds space. Because if my memory serves to be correct, he wasn't high in the centre bounce. I think some stages through the finals he did because he really started to come of age. Gee, I got too invested talking about Will Ashcroft there. I cut myself off on the little timer. But if you didn't catch me before, I was just saying he did go more in the middle through the finals, but was clearly behind Dunkley, Neal and McCluggage. And you're probably saying, well, what's going to change? Nothing's going to change. I could see McCluggage moving out of that centre bounce a little bit for Ashcroft. Now, I think McCluggage can play wing, and he can be quite damaging on the outside. I think Ashcroft has the ability to take his game next level and be the best player in their team. Obviously, it's probably not going to be next year, but he has that ability, and I think they're going to prioritise him. So the sky is the limit for this kid, and it does excite me just even thinking about the prospect. At 440, he could go Clayton Oliver style and have that huge breakout. Like, sometimes we see players have mini breakouts. They'll go from averaging 80 to mid to high 90s and then go big. Players of the absolute top ilk, we saw Oliver go from 83 to 120. I don't see him going 120, but he could go bonkers. Now, what sort of a breakout did Dacos have? I feel like he went from averaging 91 in his first year to just going nuts. Yeah, 91 straight to 116. So these are the things we could see him do. I think Dacos is a good example. If we go to Collingwood and the centre bouncers, Dacos was obviously more half-back, not quite in the middle all the time in that debut year, as the numbers would suggest. He had opportunity, but more or less not quite in there. An overall average of 42% centre bounce time, which is probably relatively comparable to Will. And then boom, he went to their number one guy, 74%. Overtook guys like Pendles and Mitchell, Crisp. Fantastic players, but not the number one guy anymore. And Will Ashcroft could overtake McCluggage and Dunkley. And again, we see Ashcroft at 33%. There is some similarities to him and Dacos. And we did see through those finals, against the Cats, dare I even think about that game, he didn't score well. My memory feels like he played okay. 22 touches is not the worst, but, the other two finals were very, very, very good. So it's food for thought. I suppose the question you've got to ask yourself is, at 440k, I always tend to feel like we're either picking a player to make us money, and reasonable money. You want at least 130, 140k, don't you? Surely. Or you're picking him as a keeper. Now, I don't think we're picking Will Ashcroft to make us money. Like, if he's making us 120k and he's 560, 570, we're not trading him out to cash him in. He's probably a keeper at that point. So I feel like the mode of selection for Will Ashcroft is, can he be a keeper? And what does that look like? Probably averaging at least 107. 105 plus you'd take, 110 you'd want. That's probably what we're talking here. Can he do it? Yes, he absolutely can. Will he do it this year? It's going to be one to watch. At this point, I'm leaning towards better value options elsewhere, because you can't have them all. I like Peatling, I like Cumming, I like Will Ashcroft, I like Kitty Coleman, who's coming up. There's a long list of mid-price guys, but you can't always have every single one of them. Being a slight bit more expensive. People at the moment, it seems like they're probably leaning towards Clayton Oliver, who's at 450. You could definitely have both, but it's an interesting comparison. Clayton Oliver's done it, he's been there, but he's a bit off the rails. Can he return? Where Will Ashcroft seems to be on a one-way path to stardom, and maybe maybe he'll just take the mantle, not necessarily straight off Oliver, but they're side by side. And I wonder if one's just plateauing in their stardom and one's just about to take the AFL world by storm. So it's really interesting to have a look at. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Will Ashcroft. I think he's a real interesting one. Kitty Coleman is another, not one that I'm going to spend too much time on at the price. He's a lock. We know what he can do. He is a beautiful kickoff half back. The injury sees him at a really cheap price. Yes, the numbers don't look good, but they don't quite tell the correct story, because, we've seen him dominate in different parts of the year. My main concern is, can he get back for round one? That's really my concern. Are there any recent articles? I'm sure someone out there would know better than me. But last I heard, he was a bit touch and go. He wasn't exactly flying. He wasn't exactly absolutely on track for opening round. All we need him right is for round one. But I'd love to see him up and running through pre-season just to give us that confidence. But if he's there for the first week at that price, we're quite simply taking him. We're going to move on to Carlton. And there's not too much for me to talk about the Blues. So if you reckon I'm missing anyone, let me know. But Sam Doherty, 487. Now, obviously, it's been an insane career, a roller coaster of emotions at times, and a roller coaster of scores at times too. We've seen him absolutely at the peak, 110 plus, injuries, missed big amounts of games and time with his knee, but he has always come back and scored well. He's at a reasonable price for what he can produce on these numbers, but my concern is when I'm hearing that he's playing off a wing, and that's not what we want. Wonder if we can get any articles to kind of... See, at this point, late December, we probably don't have too many preseason articles to talk about, so it's more speculation with a few of these previews, but it's a no from me. He's not that cheap. Like, he's cheaper than what he could average, but he is getting old now. If he's playing on a wing, it's a straight-up no from me. Even if he's playing half-back, I'm happy to pass, to be honest. I've spoken about some of these other options, like Will Ashcroft at 40k less. I enjoy far more. You've got Will Day at like the same price. I think these are guys like Doherty's been there, done that. He's on the way down. I'm not saying he's going to fall to average an 80, but his best footy's behind him. Maybe he continues on with it and has a good year. Who knows? But guys like Will Day, Will Ashcroft, they are coming up. Look at Colby McKercher. He's cheaper than him down back. Their trajectory is up, and up quickly. These young guys don't muck around these days. So that's the way I would be looking at it. I'd be going with some of these younger guys on the way up. Tom De Koning is a guy that has absolutely been in my considerations. He hasn't fallen into my side just yet, but geez, a tempter. I saw him up close against the Cats absolutely tear us a new one. He destroyed us against his brother, absolutely tore him apart. That can't be the game. It must be this one. Yeah, 176. Holy shit. And again, I do like to refer to the centre bounces. It gives us a good indication of the positions. Carlton supporters, where does Pitnet play? Does he share the ruck with De Koning? Surely it's time for DK to take the number one ruck role. Surely. And it's quite simple. It is quite simple. Look at this. Pitnet misses the first 4 weeks. De Koning, pretty nice. Okay, not great in the opening round, but tons up. Basically tons up and tons up. Pitnet returns, and he returns all the way to round 10. And naturally, we see some good games. De Koning's a good footballer. He can still have some good games, but there's more fluctuation in those scores. Pitnet goes out, round 11 to 15. And then he also misses round 17 and 19. So some of that may have been selection. I can't remember. But obviously we see De Koning have that run that put him on the map. Round 11 to round 15, that put him on the map. 130 plus every time. Round 17, 128. Round 19 wasn't quite as good, even though he was the number one ruck. Tristan Cherry probably tore him apart. But that's ridiculous. That is some ridiculous numbers. He's a type of follow-up ruckman that can win your hitouts. Like, he can win 20-plus hitouts quite consistently. But it's the clearance work. It's the possession work. Like, the amount of times that he would follow up, like, his contested numbers would be huge, I would imagine. Let's have a look. Like, I'm thinking 15-plus, easy contested possessions at those games. We're all over the shop here. Where are we? Contested. Yeah, look at that. Ridiculous numbers. So if De Koning is the number one ruck, and I'd love to hear it out there, Carlton fans, I find it hard to believe that he wouldn't. And I know I've copped a little bit of flack with my ruck line, Conway and Flynn. I think Flynn's more reliable. Yeah, okay, maybe a bit of Geelong bias. I actually do have a lot of faith in Conway being an average 85 plus if he is given number one ruck role. But if De Koning is the out-and-out number one ruck, it does concern me a smidgen that Pitnet might chop out from time to time, and they may ruck share, but you just feel like you're getting a 110 plus ruckman at a slightly discounted price. Yeah, he's not cheap, but I could easily see him boosting this average to 110, 115. Let me know your thoughts on him. We're going to finish up with the Pies, and again, there isn't stacks. Like, I had a couple of people talk about Ed Allen, and I had a bit of a look into him. He's certainly a guy that I think will be popular. Again, if he can immerse himself in that Collingwood midfield, I think with the likes of Tom Mitchell, Pendlebury, Sidebottom, I think there's a want for there to be some new guys coming through. Fantastic bio there too. Let's have a look at his VFL stats. Always nice to see how they go in the lower level. But so I think he's every chance. He's every chance. He's a pre-season watch at a nice price, about 180k. But yeah, look, certainly some really, really good numbers. Where are we? 2024. VFL numbers are a bit hard to assess sometimes because sometimes their minutes are managed and it's, for whatever reason, it's not as much of a high possession game. I don't know why. I often see guys who are dominating at VFL level. That's what the media tells us. And you look at their stats and they're like high 20s. Don't know. You don't get as many of those 30 pluses at VFL level. But obviously he was at times, showing a lot of signs and knocking the door down. I feel like he did debut, which would probably make sense if he's at 180. So, played a couple of games. Oh, he had a 94. Oh, in the last round. That'd be why people are talking about him. Because he came in and had an impact. Laid tackles, had a bit of the footy. Interesting. Well, that certainly brings him right into contention. And look, he'll be one of those ones where, do I go brand new shiny rookie who's a top 10er, or do I go someone like Ed Allen? So last round he came in and yeah, was obviously given quite a bit of opportunity without DeGoey or Tom Mitchell. And look, I think Tom Mitchell's days are probably done for senior footy. Pendlebury, I could see them dropping his centre bounce numbers to accommodate someone like an Ed Allen. And Sidebottom, was in there as well, but that won't be going on next year. So, yeah, he's a definite, at this stage, you'd have him in your team. Just has to put together some good pre-season games, and he should be in. The one I really wanted to have a chat about was Dan Houston. Now, again, you're not getting him super close, and I know he's suspended, but he'll just miss round 0. So, he's not going to miss a game where you're scoring, or it's not going towards your overall rank. And again, he's not cheap, 106, but I always like to look for scope in scoring and where can we get that little bit of extra. So Houston's a class act. We all know that. But what I found interesting was, I don't know, when I first thought Houston, I was like, rebounding defender, loves to kick the footy. You just kind of assume that he takes the kick-ins all day long, but they actually shared it a bit with Farrell and Burton. And not just shared it a lot, but it was basically 33% each. Like, okay, Houston and Farrell took a bit more than Burton across the course of the year, but I found that quite interesting. When you look at guys like, I don't know, take North Melbourne. When Fisher was taking kickouts, he was taking kickouts, 8, 9, 10. When McKercher was taking them, wasn't he taking kickouts, 13, 11, 8. You know what I mean? Like, there's often a designated guy. Some clubs don't. The club he goes to doesn't. Howe, Moore, Maynard, Noble. It's a real spread. There's no one really a designated kicker. You look at St Kilda, I'm thinking it's Wanganeen Millerer, maybe Bonner, maybe Sinclair. It's probably a bit of a spread with them, to be fair, but it's probably not the greatest example of all time, but you get my point. You've got those guys that do take the kickouts quite regularly. Like, say, Freo, I'm thinking Jordan Clark or Luke Ryan. Probably Clark takes a lot of them. Luke Ryan. No, it's Luke Ryan. He is the kick-out man. So that's a good example. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there was any others. Like Gold Coast. Sam Flanders, when he was down back. He went down back, and he was the predominant kick-out guy. So, and then we saw that move to Will Powell. So some teams do it differently. Some like a spread, some don't. He's going to a team that doesn't like a spread, but they're also does like a spread, I should say. Does spread it around. But he's also bringing attributes that none of these guys have. None of them are as good of a kick as Dan Houston. So I just wonder, will he get more opportunity? And I know it's a simplistic view to say, but if he just got 2 or 3 more kickouts per game and he hits a target, that's about 10 points, give or take, depending, all the little intricacies of SuperCoach scoring. I do feel like he has a 110 plus in him. I'm very, very tempted by him. I really am. So again, a lot of these players we've spoken about, it's a watch for preseason on the specifics on their role. But I can 100% see Houston just getting that little mini boost of when a player goes to that new club and they're the new shiny toy. He's our kicking man. Let's hand it to Houston. Boom. There's obviously potential that if Pendlebury were to move out of the midfield, does he move to half back? That there things do move. We can't say Ed Allen's going to get midfield time without moving Pendlebury, and then it affects everything else. There is a bit of a flow-on effect, but I feel like Houston is a pretty handy pick, regardless of if he gets improvement. And I actually do feel like there is opportunity for him to take in a hell of a lot more kickouts than he has previously. So that is a wrap. We've got through probably 10 plus players there. It is a bit of a longer video, but I find it easy to just pump out a bigger video 4 times for our club previews than 18 smaller ones. So let's see how we go. But let me know in the comments if there's any players that you reckon I missed. Like I said, I'm not talking as much about rookies and draftees and that. More so focused on the possible breakout or value type players. But yeah, would love to hear your thoughts. Have a good new year, and I'll certainly speak to you soon. Hopefully have another club preview coming soon, and probably a tiers video on the forward line soon, I reckon. But have a good one. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.